It is not charity, Maya. It is your rent for existing in this family. That is exactly what my mother whispered to me when I hesitated to give my brother my liver. She dug her fingernails into my wrist across the Christmas dinner table and said, "Stop crying. You were born for this. God gave you a healthy organ so Caleb could survive." My brother sat across the table, looking at me like I was a vending machine that had just jammed. He did not ask if I was scared. He just waited for his spare part. For 29 years, I had followed their rules. I ate organic food. I avoided sports. I kept my body pure for him. But hearing that my life was just rent payment broke the programming. I reached for a bottle of vintage red wine, strictly forbidden because alcohol damages the liver. I poured a full glass. I locked eyes with my mother, drank every single drop in one long swallow, and slammed the glass down hard enough to crack the stem. That sharp crack dragged me back 19 years, to a sidewalk in July. I was 10 years old. I had fallen off my bicycle and scraped my knee. A normal mother would have run over to see if her child was crying. A normal mother would have kissed the wound. Elena did not run. She marched. She looked down at my bleeding leg with the same disgust you would look at a dented bumper. She screamed, "You reckless idiot. You have compromised the sterility. How are we supposed to harvest clean marrow if you have an infection in your blood?" I realized then that my pain did not matter, only my purity did. I grew up thinking I was disciplined. Now, at 29, I finally admitted the truth. I am a certified nutritionist because I was programmed to protect the asset, while Caleb spent his 20s snorting cocaine and drinking until his liver hardened. I was forced onto organic diets. I was banned from contact sports. I was forbidden from travel. I used to be proud of the $50,000 in my savings account, the money my father called my future fund. I found out last year that it was not for my future. It was the deductible for Caleb's next transplant. My parents are corporate managers running a biological hedge fund. Caleb is the high-risk, high-reward stock. And me? I am the insurance policy. I am the backup generator kept in the basement. Caleb knows it too. That is why he destroys himself with such confidence. Why bother driving safely when you have a spare car in the garage? Back at the table, my father, Richard, adjusted his silk tie. He did not yell. He simply opened his leather portfolio and slid a calendar across the mahogany. "The surgery is scheduled for the 14th in Zurich," he said, his voice flat. "We have already paid the deposit." "I am not going to Zurich, Richard," I said. He did not blink. "If you refuse, you are out of the will. But we will also be forced to release your therapy records to the state board. The ones where you discuss your paranoid delusions. It would be a shame for a nutritionist to lose her license because she is mentally unstable." I looked at the calendar. The 14th. 2 weeks away. I stood up. "I need to use the restroom," I said. I did not go to the bathroom. I walked straight out the front door, into the snow, and I drove away. I had 2 weeks to burn their corporation to the ground. Nana Rose passed away 14 days later. While my parents were busy liquidating her estate to pay for the transplant I refused to provide, I drove to the First National Bank. I had the small brass key Nana had pressed into my hand right before her stroke. I walked into the vault room. When Mr. Henderson, the branch manager, stepped in front of me, I held up the key. "Miss Maya," he said, "I need to verify your access." He scanned my driver's license. "Signature matches. You are cleared. Your grandmother added you as a joint owner with full survivorship rights 6 months ago. She brought you in to sign some papers while running errands." The memory hit me. Nana making me sign 3 blue forms to protect me. She knew this day was coming. Mr. Henderson led me to box 402. I unlocked it. Inside was a single, thick red binder labeled Project M. I opened it. The first document was a receipt from a fertility clinic dated 30 years ago. It read, "Client requests specific HLA match for existing sibling. Caleb. Embryo 2. Female. Selected for implantation solely for tissue harvesting potential." I stopped breathing. I was not conceived out of love. I was a medical product. I turned the page. Nana had hired a private investigator. There were photos time-stamped from last Tuesday. They showed Caleb outside a nightclub, standing and laughing. In the next shot, he was snorting a line of white powder. He was not dying of natural causes. He was actively killing the liver he demanded I replace. Attached was a note from the investigator. "Invoice paid in full. Originals deleted. Do not contact me again." The final item was a digital voice recorder. I pressed play. It was my father's voice. "It is not about her saying no," Richard said on the recording. "It is the cost. We have invested over $250,000 in Maya. She is an asset, Elena. You do not keep a spare tire in the trunk for 30 years and then feel guilty about using it when you get a flat. It is just return on investment. Spare tire. Return on investment. I took the binder. I digitized every file. When I walked out of the bank, the sun was shining, but the world looked different. They wanted a return on their investment. I was going to give them a crash they would never recover from. The Heart for Caleb Foundation Gala was held at the Ritz-Carlton. My parents aimed to raise $2 million, ostensibly for the surgery, but in reality, to replenish the fortune they had wasted on Caleb's lifestyle. I walked in wearing a blood-red dress. Elena cornered me in the restroom. She locked the door. She turned on the faucet to drown out our voices. She looked elegant in emerald silk, fixing her lipstick in the mirror. "You look striking," she said. "But tonight is not a fashion show. When we call you up to the stage, you are going to smile. You are going to take your brother's hand, and you are going to announce that you are honored to be his donor. And if I do not, then by tomorrow morning, I will file a petition to have you declared mentally incompetent. You will lose your license, your apartment, and your freedom. You will be destitute." I looked at her in the mirror. "I understand perfectly," I said. I walked out and headed for the audiovisual booth. The intern was frantically typing on a laptop. I walked up to him, holding my phone to my ear. "I know, Mom. I am telling him right now," I snapped. I lowered the phone and looked at the intern. "My mother is furious. She says the legacy photo montage is not loaded. Do you want to go explain to her why the tribute is ruined? Or should I just give you the file?" I held out a flash drive. He grabbed it. "I am plugging it in now. Tell her it is handled. Just play it when she signals," I said. I took my seat in the front row. The lights dimmed. Caleb rolled out in his wheelchair, wearing a tuxedo tailored to make him look frail. The room erupted in applause. "Thank you," he whispered into the microphone. "I did not think I would make it to tonight." He looked down at me. "My little sister, Maya. She has always been my guardian. And now, she is giving me the gift of life." My mother stood up and beckoned for me. "Come up here, darling." I walked up the stairs. I stepped onto the stage. I took the microphone. "Thank you, Caleb," I said. "I would love to help. But before we celebrate the cure, I think we should take a closer look at the disease." I signaled the booth. The giant screen behind us flickered. The inspirational music cut out. A new image filled the 20-foot screen. It was the photo from the private investigator. Caleb standing outside the nightclub 3 days ago, holding a bottle of vodka and snorting cocaine. The timestamp read, Tuesday, 2:14 a.m. The silence in the ballroom was absolute. Caleb froze. "That is fake!" my mother shouted. "Turn it off." Then, the audio started. My father's voice boomed over the speakers. "It is not about her saying no. It is the cost. We have invested over $250,000 in Maya. She is an asset, Elena. You do not keep a spare tire in the trunk for 30 years and then feel guilty about using it. It is just return on investment." The clip ended. I saw the hospital director at table 1 stand up and walk toward the exit. Caleb forgot his role. He pushed himself up from the wheelchair, standing perfectly fine. "You bitch!" he screamed into the live microphone. "You ruined everything!" I leaned into the mic. "You are not donating to a sick man. You are funding an addict. And I am not a sister. I am a failed harvest." I dropped the microphone. My father lunged for the podium. "Cut the feed!" he roared. He turned to the crowd, sweating. "My daughter is having a psychotic break. We hold medical power of attorney over her. She is not competent." I reached into my clutch and pulled out a single sheet of paper. "You are right, Richard," I said. "You did have power of attorney. You forced me to sign it when I was 18. But legal contracts can be broken." I held the document up. "I visited a notary public this morning. This is a formal revocation of power of attorney. I am not your asset anymore. If you touch me, it is felony assault." I signaled the intern one last time. "Show them the email." The screen changed to an official email from the United Network for Organ Sharing. I explained to the crowd. "Organ transplant lists have strict rules. The patient must be sober. The patient cannot be coerced." Richard screamed. "How did you get that?" "You made me Caleb's designated caregiver," I said. "You gave me his password so I could do your grunt work." I logged into his portal and sent the cocaine photos to the board myself. I read the screen. Patient number 89402 flagged for non-compliance. Status: permanently ineligible. He is blacklisted, Richard. He cannot get a liver from me. He cannot get one from a stranger. Your greed for this gala just spotlighted his addiction to the federal government. You just sentenced your golden child to death." The room broke. Donors demanded refunds. My mother sank to the floor, sobbing for her reputation. I walked down the stairs. The crowd parted for me. I walked out the double doors and left the wreckage of my family behind me. The fallout was immediate. Because my parents solicited donations across state lines, the FBI charged them with wire fraud. They had spent 80% of the foundation's money on luxury cars. They are currently out on bail, awaiting trial. Caleb remains permanently blacklisted. He is alive, but he is back in that wheelchair for real this time, living with the parents who enabled him. But the real justice came from Nana Rose. Her will was read 2 days later. She left her entire $2 million estate to me, but she added a poison pill provision. If I transfer a single cent to Richard, Elena, or Caleb, the entire trust dissolves to charity. She protected me from my own guilt. 6 months later, I sat at an airport terminal, waiting for a flight to Italy. I ate a double bacon cheeseburger and a milkshake. Food I was never allowed to touch. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from my mother. Maya. It is Mom. We are losing the house. We need your signature. We are family. Caleb is not doing well. Please. I did not feel angry. I felt bored. I tapped block and took another bite of my burger. I am not alone anymore. In Florence, I have found a community of friends who do not know my blood type. They do not care about my liver enzymes. They only care if I want to go for gelato or walk by the river. I have found what I call my chosen family. And the silence of my new life is not lonely. It is peaceful. To everyone watching this, I need you to hear this. Blood is biology. Loyalty is love. They are not the same thing. You are not an insurance policy. You are not a retirement plan. And you are certainly not a spare part. If the people who are supposed to love you only value you for what they can harvest from you, whether it is money, time, or your actual body, then they are not your family. They are your parasites. Walking away does not make you cruel. It makes you free. I know exactly what you are screaming at the screen right now. Why did she wait 29 years? Why did she let them control her diet, her career, and her bank account for so long? It is easy to judge Maya from the outside. You think, I would have left the moment they called me an insurance policy. But would you? Let's look at the psychology here. Maya wasn't stupid. She was conditioned. This is what psychologists call the slot machine effect, or intermittent reinforcement. Her parents didn't abuse her 24/7. If they did, she would have left years ago. Instead, they gave her crumbs of affection. A paid college tuition here. A compliments on her discipline there. They kept her pulling the lever, hoping that this time the jackpot of love would finally pay out. It is the most addictive pattern in the world. But here is where Maya flipped the script. And here is what you need to learn from her. She didn't just get angry. She got smart. Notice her first power move? The audit strategy. When she found that red binder, she didn't just cry. She looked at the receipts. Toxic families and scammers hate details. They rely on vague guilt trips like after all we did for you. Maya countered that with hard data. The invoices, the medical dates, the audio recordings. If you feel used, stop arguing about feelings and start looking at the finances. Second, look at the leverage play. Maya didn't just refuse the surgery. She waited for the maximum point of leverage, the public gala, to reveal the truth. In negotiation, timing is everything. She knew that destroying their reputation was the only way to ensure they would never come after her again. She made the cost of attacking her higher than the benefit of using her. And finally, the buyout. Nana Rose's will was the ultimate financial shield. That poison pill clause was brilliant. It removed Maya's ability to be manipulated. If you are struggling to say no to toxic family members asking for money, take the option off the table. Put your money in a trust, a locked term deposit, or an asset they cannot touch. Make it legally impossible for you to save them. Maya's story isn't just a drama, it is a blueprint. If you are the spare part in your family, realize this. You cannot buy their love, because they are not selling it. They are only renting your compliance. Stop paying the rent. Document everything. Build your exit fund. And when you are ready, walk away and don't look back. If this story hit close to home, tell me in the comments, what is the one boundary you need to set with your family today? Subscribe for more real talk. I'll see you in the next video.